Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Man 22 charged with murder after shooting suspect who tried to rob his house, lawyer says. Government communication on COVID-19 contributed to Freedom Convoy region report. Barrie police investigating after man dies following confrontation with group of people. Terry Fox Foundation touts overwhelming pre-sales interest in Ryan Reynolds t-shirt. Winter storm expected to hit southern Ontario this week. One person pronounced dead after fire at Brampton apartment. The SIU investigating after one person seriously injured in Pickering police chase. Man pushed onto tracks at Bloor Yonge marks third such incident at station this year.
These were the headlines and now let's jump right into the details.
Man has been pronounced dead following a fire at an apartment building in Brampton. Crews were called to the building at Kennedy and Tullamore Roads at around 8:20 a.m. An image shared from the scene by Brampton Fire and Emergency Services shows smoke billowing out of one of the units, apparently on the second floor. Peel Regional Paramedic Services said they transported one person to a local hospital in critical condition. Peel Regional Police said a short time later that an adult male was pronounced dead in hospital. At least 4 other people were being assessed at the scene for minor injuries, paramedics said. It is not yet clear how the fire started. The southbound lanes of the Kennedy Road are shut down at Tullamore and Tullamore is closed in both directions because of the fire. A special weather statement has been issued for southern Ontario with a snow and ice storm that could cause widespread power outages headed for some areas. According to Environment Canada, the storm is expected to hit Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Some areas of southern Ontario are expected to be hit with mainly snow, while others will be impacted by an ice storm. According to the weather agency, snow and ice pellets are expected across the area and precipitation may fall heavily at times, leading hazardous winter travel conditions. Due to uncertainty over the exact timing and location of the storm, Environment Canada has not released how much snow is expected to fall. Areas west of Toronto like Hamilton, London and Niagara are being warned of the potential of significant ice buildup. According to the Weather Network, up to 15 centimeters of snow is possible by Thursday morning in parts of Greater Toronto area. The first alarm bells are beginning to sound for an ice storm across southern Ontario. Weather Network meteorologist Tyler Hamilton said in a post about the storm, "Everyone in southern Ontario needs to be on guard for a winter storm later Wednesday. Toronto, Hamilton, York Region, Durham Region, Halton Region, Peel Region, Kingston, London, Niagara, Waterloo and Windsor are under special weather statements." Justice Paul Rouleau says the Canada Border Services Agency made a bad situation worse when it mishandled the announcement of a vaccine mandate for truckers early last year amid rampant anger and false information around the pandemic. Rouleau pointed out the agency's mistake in his more than 2,000-page report released last Friday, which concluded that the federal Liberal government was justified in invoking the Emergencies Act last winter to respond to Freedom Convoy protests in downtown Ottawa. Rouleau's task included exploring what contributed to the furor that saw thousands of demonstrators take over the streets around Parliament Hill and block several border crossings with the United States. He based his findings on hundreds of hours of testimony and thousands of documents submitted as evidence during the Public Order Emergency Commission's hearings last fall. Rouleau's final report said that although the inquiry was not focused on the government response to COVID-19, Canadians felt confused by some of the messaging from officials. It singled out an error by the Border Services Agency last January when it released a statement saying unvaccinated Canadian truckers would not need to quarantine after crossing the border, only to issue a correction reversing that position the next day. The image of the commercial truck driver proved to be a powerful symbol, the report suggested, conveying a message that everyday Canadians were having their lives turned upside down by COVID-19 health restrictions. Rouleau concluded that the spread of the false information on vaccination and the role of governments in stemming the spread of COVID-19, both intentional and unintentional, played a major role in the protests' formation and organization. Social media served as an accelerant for misinformation and disinformation, he concluded. The speed at which incorrect information can catch on was also evidenced by reaction to the ruler report itself, as false statements circulated online that the Ontario Court of Appeal Justice is related to the family of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. When it came to COVID-19 restrictions themselves, virtually all of which were lifted last year, ruler said he accepts that they brought genuine hardship to Canadians regardless of what benefit they carried. Although some reacted with anger to existence of these rules, ruler found that certain restrictions caused confusion that was understandable. Ruler said it was unsurprising that at a time when the pandemic forced people to stay home, many took to social media to express their displeasure. One of the 56 recommendations to come out of the commission calls for all levels of government to look at the societal impact of social media, including the spread of false information. Ontario Police Watchdog has been called in to investigate after a 36-year-old man was seriously injured in an overnight police chase in Pickering. It happened at Brock Road and Bailey Street at around 3 a.m. Monday morning. In a news release Monday afternoon, the Special Investigations Unit said that the collision occurred after Durham police officer attempted to stop a Mercedes-Benz on Bailey Street. Images from the scene showed the overturned Mercedes lying on its roof on the roadway and another vehicle a short distance away with extensive damage. A male passenger from the Mercedes was taken to hospital with serious injuries, the SIU said. Durham police said a second male fled the scene and is outstanding. The SIU is an arm's length provincial agency called in any time police are involved in a death, serious injury, or allegations of sexual assault. The SIU has assigned 4 investigators and 2 forensic investigators to the case. The agency is urging anyone with information to come forward. A 47-year-old man is dead following an early morning confrontation between a group of people in downtown Barrie. The incident happened on Monday just before 8:20 a.m. on Collier Street, just west of Bayfield Street. Barrie police said after the exchange, the victim was critically injured, made his way to a business on Dunlop Street, East Business, where he collapsed. Simcoe County paramedics were called to the scene and provided medical attention before transporting the man to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. The victim's body has now been taken to the office of the Chief Coroner and Ontario Forensic Pathology Service, where an autopsy will be done. At this time, police have not made any arrests. However, they said they do not believe there are any threats to public safety. The investigation is active and ongoing. A t-shirt designer to the multiple creative hats worn by movie star Ryan Reynolds, the Vancouver-born film star, producer, and screenwriter, has teamed up with the annual Terry Fox Run to help design this year's t-shirt, the proceeds of which go to cancer research. He shared an image of himself wearing the t-shirt on Twitter and Instagram over the weekend, noting he's taken part in the Terry Fox Run since second grade. A spokeswoman for the Terry Fox Foundation says Reynolds helped design and choose the white t-shirt in collaboration with the Fox family and other creative partners. It features a black and white photo of Fox on the front as accented with a bit of red. Behind the image are the words "Dear Terry" in blue script, and real handwritten letters to Fox are copied and excerpted on the back. Dennis Dias says pre-sales have been strong since Reynolds announced his involvement, with more than 6,300 shirts sold by Monday morning. This year's run takes place September 17th. Registration opens on April 12th, which is the day that Fox began running in 1980, but Dias says overwhelming interest and support in the t-shirt spurred the foundation on Sunday to allow pre-sales of the garment for the first time. The suspect in an attempted push off a passenger at Toronto's Bloor-Yonge subway station Sunday afternoon is still at large, according to police. The incident marks the third attempted incident of this kind at Toronto's busiest subway station this year. The Toronto Police Service says a report filed Sunday claimed the incident occurred just before 4:30 p.m. on station's westbound platform. The victim, a man, was reportedly pushed onto track level by a male suspect but managed to get himself back onto the platform uninjured. The suspect has been described by police as a black male wearing a black durag, a dark jacket, and dark track pants. Police have not released any other information about the circumstances leading up to the incident. So far in 2023, Toronto police have responded to 2 other attempted pushings on the Toronto Transit Commission (TTC), both at Bloor-Yonge Station. On January 3rd, a man was pushed onto the Bloor-Yonge tracks. Following an argument with another man, the accused was arrested at the scene and charged with assault. About 2 weeks later, on January 20th, a man in his 50s was arrested just before 10:30 p.m. at Bloor-Yonge Station after allegedly attempting to push another rider onto the tracks. In recent months, Toronto's transit system has been at the center of a string of violent and, at times, seemingly random crimes, prompting increased enforcement and police presence. In the last 30 days, TPS has notified the public of at least 20 different violent crimes, including the recent pushings against riders or employees of the transit system. In the weeks before that, a string of muggings, assaults, and a fatal stabbing at a West End station prompted calls for national action. As to what else can be done to prevent further violence, Green said there needs to be cooperation between the TTC and other government agencies to address the root causes. Bloor-Yonge Station is the country's busiest subway station, and its platforms are often jam-packed during high traffic periods. The station is set to receive a $1.5 billion facelift in the coming years, which will provide more platform space. In 2022, after a woman was pushed onto Bloor-Yonge tracks and avoided an incoming train by rolling under the lip of the platform, advocates argued for platform edge doors to keep passengers from falling onto the tracks and coming into the path of an oncoming train. Just a few months prior to that, in November 2021, a man survived being pushed onto the tracks at Bloor-Yonge Station and dragged a short distance by a train. In 2018, a 73-year-old man was fatally pushed in front of an incoming train at the station. As recently as 2018, the cost to install platform barriers throughout Toronto's subway network was pegged at more than $1 billion, with files from CP24's Jordan Flegel, Josh Freeman, and Brian Aguilar. A 22-year-old is facing murder charges after he shot and killed a man who was allegedly attempting to rob his family home in Milton, Ontario, his lawyer says. The incident happened on February 19 at about 5 a.m. at a residence on Gibson's Crescent, which is near Ontario Street South and Lewis St. Laurent Avenue. According to Halton Regional Police Service, a group of suspects intent on committing a robbery approached the house in question. Once inside, they were reportedly confronted by the occupant, and a number of gunshots were then fired within the home. A man was pronounced dead at the scene. Ali Mia, who lives in the home with his single mother, is now facing second-degree murder charges, his lawyer says. In a statement provided to CP24.com, criminal lawyer Jack Work said his client shot an intruder that broke into his home and attacked his mother. He's a registered firearm owner and used his gun legally against an armed intruder, Work said. Work said Mia's intention was not to kill the intruder, he only shot at him once. Halton police said the investigation ongoing and that detectives are currently looking for information pertaining to 3 outstanding suspects who they said fled the scene in a light-colored Dodge Charger with a sunroof and black wheels. Romario Clark, 20, was also arrested when officers arrived at the scene. He has been charged with 1 count of break and enter and unauthorized possession of a firearm.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.